5 things the Filipino middle class should watch out for. The Philippine economy has been growing at a very good pace for the past few years. More jobs are being created every year, and the so-called middle class is growing. The average Filipino family has more and more to spend. And while this is a very good thing, in this episode, our goal is to remind everyone to not take this economic growth for granted. May kasabihan tayo na ang buhay ay parang gulong. Minsan nasa taas ka, minsan nasa baba. At sa panahon natin ngayon, maraming Pilipino ang pataas at paasenso ang buhay. So, in this episode, I'd like to address the Filipino middle class para habang ikaw at ang iyong pamilya ay pataas, hindi mo na ulit mararanasan ang buhay na pababa kapag natapos ang economic boom ng bansa. So that you won't have any regrets in the future. So that as you experience financial progress today, your life will continually get better even when the country's economic growth ends. With that said, let's get started with the 5 things the Filipino middle class should watch out for. Number 1, unemployment. You might have a very good paying job right now. Whether you're abroad or in the Philippines, it might be the first time you're experiencing excess money. Yung panahon na lumipas yung buong buwan at wow, may natira ka pang pera. You might be someone who has recently bought their first car or first home or first time traveling abroad with your family. And yes, that's all good. It's good to enjoy your money. But unemployment is a reality that we should prepare for. Sometimes there are factors just beyond our control that could lead to unemployment. For example, the company where you work might go bankrupt due to a government regulation, or perhaps your employer will undertake some cost-cutting measures to keep the company afloat, and that means redundating some workers to make the company more streamlined. And even the most qualified employee will feel insecure when word of poor company performance gets out, because you really can never tell who will be forced to resign first. Now, I don't mean to scare you here, but it's good to know this now so you can prepare. And how do you prepare for unemployment? The answer is by having an emergency fund. An emergency fund is savings worth 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. And the purpose of this emergency fund is so that in the event of sudden unemployment or any emergency, you have a financial buffer to sustain your basic needs. And you don't have to go into debt or go to a 5-6 para manghiram ng pera. So that if you suddenly find yourself without a job, you'll still be able to pay rent, electricity, and feed your family. Your emergency fund serves as a buffer and protection until you're able to find another job. Next item on the list is number 2, inflation. Inflation is the increase of prices every year. Ang dating piso lang, ngayon 2 pesos na. Pamahal ng pamahal ang bilihin. Now, inflation is a part of every healthy economy. Anywhere you go, kahit anong bansa pa man yan, prices will tend to go higher and higher year after year. And it has become so normal that people tend to ignore inflation. So, how can the middle class prepare or fight inflation? The answer is by learning how to invest. By learning how to grow your money beyond the usual time deposit. In the last few years, inflation has ranged from 3 to 5% per year. But our time deposit has only given 1% per year. So, nagmamahal yung bilihin ng 3 to 5%, pero ang pera sa bangko kumikita lang ng 1%. Talong-talo ka talaga sa inflation. So, what's the solution? If you're not yet familiar with bonds, stocks, mutual funds, UITFs, then it's time to learn about them because those are the ways you can fight inflation. Next, number 3 on the list are health emergencies. Now, by health emergencies, we don't mean your regular toothache or fever or nagkasakit lang. Rather, these are events where you usually end up in the hospital, confined, or at the end, you have a medical bill reaching hundreds of thousands of pesos. Some people will of course have their company healthcare plans and HMOs, while some won't. Now, regardless of where you belong, it would be good to prepare. The first step to preparing for your health emergencies is to actually look at what your coverage is. What is the coverage that your company provides and what is excluded from that? Now, once you have determined that, the next step is to start exploring and canvassing and learning about the different healthcare and insurance plans to fill in the gap so that when a medical emergency comes, you know you're covered. Our next item on the list is a bit heavy, and it's number 4, retirement and the risk of working forever. Let's face it, we all have to grow old. Time waits for no one. Everyone at some point in their lives will have to stop working. Either because you no longer want to work, your body no longer allows you to work, or no one already wants to hire you. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, I'm still too young to prepare for my retirement, or my children will take care of me when I'm old, or maybe thinking that the government SSS and pension will be enough. Well, no matter what you're thinking about your retirement, it would be good to start planning now. You don't need to save now, but at least start your plan, because a plan will reveal to you exactly how much you think you'll need come your retirement days. Your retirement will be the biggest expense of your life, and it's coming. Yes, it's very far off into the future, but it's coming. So it would be wise to start preparing for it now. So, how do you exactly prepare for your retirement? There are many ways, but it all starts with planning it out first. Number 1, determine when you want to retire. Number 2, how much will you need? Try to answer that question. And number 3, how can you reach that amount? These are the 3 major questions you need to answer in your plan for your retirement. Again, you'll want to do this while times are good. Retirement planning will be much tougher the older you get and the longer you wait. And now, last but definitely not the least, on our list of things the Filipino middle class should watch out for is number 5, the next generation. This item is not about money. Rather, it's about values and what you're teaching and passing on to the next generation. For example, now that times are relatively good, there are some parents who are giving their children everything they need and want without question. But at the same time, they are subconsciously training their children to be entitled and, well, become spoiled brats. Rather than pass on the values of hard work and patience, the next generation learns entitlement and the "I want to have this now" mentality. Is this what you would want to pass on to your children? This is something everyone should start thinking about already. Another example, we are now witnessing second and third generation OFW families. These are families where the lolos and lolas were OFWs and the parents were also OFWs away from family, and now the children are also going abroad away from their families. Now, what is this telling the next generation? Now, whether you have kids or not, or whether or not you're an OFW, it still begs to be asked, what values are you passing down to the next generation? It's good to start planning these out early. And that concludes it for our list on the 5 things the Pinoy middle class should watch out for. To quickly summarize, number 1, unemployment, which you plan for with your emergency fund. Number 2, inflation, which you fight by learning how to invest. Number 3, health emergencies, which you address by exploring healthcare and insurance plans. Number 4, your retirement. And number 5, the next generation, where you answer the question, what values are you passing on? Now, we all know that these items aren't really urgent, and there's really no harm if you ignore them this year or the next year. But remember that all these 5 things deserve your attention because it will have a huge impact in your future. The earlier you start thinking and planning out these items, the better, so that you won't have any regrets in the future, so that you won't end up saying, saan ba ako nagkamali? So you won't have to wonder, where did things go wrong? By planning and preparing early, you won't have regrets in the future, so that as you experience financial progress today, your life will continually get better and better and better, and you will win the game of wealth. Hey there, J3 here. Did you enjoy this episode? If you did, well, there are 2 things you can do right now to continue your journey towards financial freedom and abundance. First, subscribe here in our Pinoy Money Academy channel so that you'll get updates on our new episodes so that I can send you free training videos on everything and anything about money. Second, if you want faster results towards financial freedom and abundance, you can subscribe to our 5 Pillars of Wealth online video series. This is a free series of 3 eye-opening, life-changing videos where you'll learn about the 5 most essential concepts needed for anyone to become wealthy. And if you don't know these 5 pillars of wealth, well, you're disadvantaged in your journey. You can view this training for free online just by going to the following URL. That's pinoymoneyacademy.com/5pw. The link is displayed here on the video. Again, the link is pinoymoneyacademy.com/5pw. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Until then, always remember that wealth is a choice, so choose to be wealthy.